Hello, everybody, and welcome to our pre-World Cup 2022 final video. Oh, Matt, the lights are on. The lineups will be coming out in a few hours, and the game will begin to decide who is going to lift the World Cup. Will it be Messi's lucky year, his last World Cup, to snag that international trophy after succeeding at the Copa America, or will France win a second World Cup? First time a team has done that in quite a long time. Matt,
Third World Cup, Jackson.
third
Yeah,
World
they
Cup.
they won in
I
they
meant
won in consecutive.
consecutive. Yeah,
Yeah,
consecutively.
I
So
thought yeah, I
just
mustn't have heard it, Jackson. Because remember I think they won in '98 and then they
oh,
won
yeah,
2018 as well. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No,
Well,
but you got Messi and his Argentinian team. Probably not the best Argentinian team we've seen in the last three or four World Cups, but they're making it work. They've come together as a good tight knit group of players, and they're actually starting to produce some really good football. Like you got the likes of McAllister and a few other players that are coming up pretty nicely, and then you look at the France lineup. They're a bit thin on experience. Obviously they've got Griezmann, they've got Giroud, they've got Hugo Lloris and Dembele. But they've also got a few young players as well, and it's good to see those young players get some in this World Cup and develop a bit more as players to go back to their clubs, and we'll hopefully see them leading the French team in the next World Cup.
yeah, Matt. This is just where you've got it all wrong, though.
What are you
And
talking about?
that's where you mention these young players, and some people would view that as a weakness. It's like, oh, these young players in the squad, there's
See,
holes there, whereas you could say
I
Argentina's
don't.
full of a few veterans. But these young players are quality. There are
Yeah,
quality
look,
young players
I,
in here.
I'm not I'm not knocking the young players, because the way I see this French team is that, like, considering you have all the injuries and everything, this is not France's A team. It's not the best team they can put forward. But considering that, all these young players, all these young guys, they have something to prove in this World Cup because they're getting their shot. They know that these players, the Pogbas, the Kantes, this would have been probably their last World Cup as well. They weren't going to play in the
Mm.
2026 World Cup. So this is the time for those players that are the young guys that are normally on the bench, or the young guys that only see, the last 15, 20 minutes of games.
Mm.
It's their time to come out and prove not just to the fans, but to the whole, like to their country of France, and to themselves and to their other players, that they
Mm.
can be the people that France can rely on in the coming years. They can be those star players. Like, Chouameni can be that guy in the midfield. Camavinga can be that guy in the midfield. We have Kolo Muani. He can be that another attacker, that other flair to come off the bench. So
Mm.
they've got these young talents that I think, it's not the best team that they put forward, but these guys are playing hard because they have something to prove.
I mean, that's the thing. I've got. I'm not sure. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I know that people are concerned about players like Pogba and Karim Benzema being injured and not getting in this team from the start. Personally, I don't even think them being in this team, they would have improved it much more than it already is.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know how you feel, but if Benzema wasn't injured, I mean, think about the players he'd be pushing out, right? I
Olivier
mean,
Giroud would be pushing out
but
because
but
he,
think about Giroud's role for France so far in this World Cup.
Giroud's been one of the more pivotal players in the World Cup for France. I
Yeah,
mean, he's got a fair few goals in this competition already. He got a goal against England that pretty much sealed the deal for them to win that semi final.
yeah. So when you
So
think about it, Benzema coming in, actually, I mean, I think Giroud is actually fantastic in that team as is, and I think he's not a player like Mbappe who's going to get you a lot of goals against when you don't necessarily need a lot of goals. He provides the decisive goal. It's been that way for at Chelsea, you would know that as well.
yeah,
In
exactly.
Champions League, for instance.
Chelsea, at Arsenal, if he was at AC Milan as well, at all
Mhm.
those clubs, he's played that
Yeah.
same pivotal role.
And I mean, you can't push out Dembele for a player like Karim Benzema. It's not a clear switch.
No, no, no.
They're not the same position.
Benzema's only really playing that front striker position.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that's
he's
either going to
only really
be
pushing out.
Giroud,
That's it, or maybe killing Mbappe
maybe.
if he gets put into that position. But then again, it's chalk and cheese. If you take out
Yeah,
Mbappe and you put Benzema in, then you sort of it's
yeah.
a double edged sword.
And I mean, let's say the same for Pogba. I mean, I don't know like how you feel about it, but think about the players they've got going in that 4-3-3. You've got players like Rabiot and Tuchemani, who I know, people were having a bit of a go at Rabiot when he was being linked to Manchester United, but
Mhm.
he's been good for them. He has been good for them in this competition. So I don't even think Pogba should have been anywhere near this team, even if he was
Yeah,
not injured.
yeah.
And
And
his
I
form wasn't that great anyway, so
no, no,
I don't know if
I
he's a
think
loss.
I think Chouameni's been playing pretty well for the France team, holding down that midfield. Chouameni and Rabiot together have been sort
Mm,
of that main link because me and Jackson said at the start of the World Cup that we had some doubts about France, right? We had doubts about their midfield. They're not being as experienced as what it could be. We hadn't seen much of this defensive lineup play together as well. It was sort of a younger, sort of a mix of like a younger and veteran lineup as well. So we didn't really see much of these guys play together. So we were a bit worried about this France team. But over the games in the World Cup that they've had, the group stages, and then those pivotal knockout rounds, they've started to show some pretty good football as well, and they've
mm.
played pretty well.
Oh, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at the team, it makes sense why they've managed to put together a run of form, even with injuries, and even if we think the injuries haven't done them much harm overall. It's a very good team, but yeah, as a team and as individuals. I mean,
Mm.
you can question Griezmann's role in this team. Maybe he's a player who's not at the level that of the rest of them. But I mean, it's not just their attack. It's not just the fact they've got someone quick like Mbappe and someone to take advantage of a when the back line does become a bit chaotic when that fast play makes runs. So Giroud plays that role. But it's the defense, it's Varane, it's Upamecano, it's
Yep.
Hernandez.
And there's
Although I don't know if Hernandez is going to play.
Yep,
He remains a doubt, I think, for this. I think Tuchemani is the only other doubt, but I think he will be ready in time.
I think
But
so.
Hernandez will be out. But at full strength, that team, Hernandez, Upamecano, Varane, it's a
Kunde.
solid. Kunde is another one.
And
They're a
they have
solid team.
Canate off the bench, Saliba on the bench as well. And they have Benjamin Pavard still. We've yet to see him make an appearance in this World Cup.
Hmm.
Yet to see him make an appearance. So we
Kingsley
could
Coman is
Kingsley
another
Coman.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ibrahim
Yeah.
Kanate. I mean, there's players in
Marcus
there.
Thuram.
Yeah, there's players in there who haven't been given a chance, like enough of a role, but they haven't needed to.
Hmm.
This France team is very strong as individuals and a team, and I think they know how they have a lot of experience with each other. In a way, it's similar to Spain in 2010 around that era where those players just knew how to work with each other, and I think it's quite impressive. It's quite an impressive team. In a way, it's really puts the Argentina team to shame. Tell the audience a bit more about this Argentina team, Matt. What can we expect when those starting lineouts come out? What can we expect to see?
Yeah, we can probably really expect a 4-4-2 from Argentina, where Martinez in the sticks at the back, obviously Messi and Alvarez at the front. Two of the guys that are very high up in Golden Boot performances so far for this World Cup. You're gonna have guys in the defensive line like Molina. We'll have Ramiro, Otamendi, and Taliafico. In the midfield, we'll have McAllister, Paredes, DePaul, and Fernandez. Like
Ah,
that's probably the main, I guess, main
real
lineup
real
they normally
world
run
beaters
with.
there. I mean, any striker that hears the name Otamendi quivers in fear.
Oh, they do.
Uh,
You would know about that, wouldn't you, Jackson?
yeah, jeez. Romero as well is not a convincing player at Tottenham.
Yeah, we've seen.
Tagliafico is a player who's a bit past it.
Mm,
Martinez is a good goalkeeper. I don't think we can
Martinez
get
is
that
good.
wrong. And
Yes, Martinez
Paredes
is
is a
good.
good player, even though his appearances for PSG have been less. McAllister I really like. Alvarez I like.
I
Messi, oh well, what can
even
I say about Messi?
I even have a liking to DePaul as well on the
Mm,
what does he play on the right side of the Argentinian midfield? He's been starting to look like a pretty
yeah,
pretty good player. But yeah,
but
McAllister
yeah,
has been
yeah.
other than Messi and Alvarez, McAllister's been the standout in the team for
Mm.
me.
I mean, it's still not. As a team, it just does not compare to the French side. Is the
Mm.
problem? I
And
mean,
obviously, sorry, Jackson, to interrupt, but
yeah,
obviously you've got your players on your bench as well. Like you got Di Maria, you got Dybala, you got both the Martinezes as well. Latoura and Lisandro Martinez. Like you've got those guys on the bench. But other than that, it's pretty lackluster in terms
yeah.
of
It
star quality on that bench.
it surprises me. Yeah, it does. It's not a great, and I mean, Messi does a lot for this team. Like an unbelievable amount of
Mm.
work. You're talking 5 goals, 3 assists, the most shots of any player in the competition, 27, most shots on target of any player. I
Mm.
mean, the stats show that he's probably carrying this team
Well, you
a
you
lot.
look at the semi final against Croatia. Look at that third goal.
Hmm.
Messi took on about five Croatian players and beat all five of them
And I'm not
to
saying there aren't other
get to
talented
the goal
players
and
there.
pass it back to Alvarez.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I it I can't. It's so diff. I like it's there are still quality players around Messi, but at this level against France, I don't see I think a player like McAllister or even Alvarez is playing out of his depth.
Hmm.
Personally, I think compared to that back line of France, I think the only player that I really put faith in to really disrupt things and break through the lines is Messi. I mean,
I I partially agree with you. I think we can't count out Alvarez considering the performances he's had so far. I think Messi will have a great effect and people will be drawn to him because it's Messi.
yeah.
It's the stigma around his name, and he's gonna have that effect any game he plays, any team he
Mm,
plays with. But you partner him with Alvarez at the front as well, and that's two guys that have similar play styles, and
mm,
they're going to cause trouble for that France back line. But the problem, like the thing is, you got France playing their 4-2-3-1 against the 4-4-2 from Argentina.
Yeah, I mean, but Argentina they've been able to change their formation when necessary. So whether it is a 4-4-2 that we see, I mean, they actually played against the Netherlands with a 3-5-2.
Yep.
Uh, although they did play with a back four against Croatia. So what I mean, I think the only reason they did a 3-5-2 against the Netherlands was because the Netherlands was playing that way.
Yep.
So they didn't want to get overpowered in the midfield because I think the Netherlands was playing five in the midfield. I think against a France that's going to play a 4-3-3, I think a 4-4-2 is probably how that's going to go.
Well, I think they're going to have at four in the back line at least because they know the attacking prowess of France, so they're going to have to try and slow them down as well. So they're going to want to
Yeah.
have four in their back line. I don't think they'll risk having three in the back line because you have three centre backs. Just think about that. You got three centre backs. You obviously got your two wing backs, but those three centre backs, Romero, Otamendi, and I don't know who the other centre back would be, but you got those three guys. Do you really trust those three guys if you got Mbappe, Dembele, and Giroud against those three?
Well, I think in any case we have to question. I mean, I've seen in playing against England. I think there was an interesting contest where Mbappe was running up against Kyle Walker, and easily outplaced a player who is famous for his pace. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
Kyle Walker's probably the fastest player in the England squad, and
yeah, yeah,
Mbappe just made him look like he was a regular player.
yeah. And think about that. If Mbappe's running at that Argentina backline, who's the player who's tracking him? Who's
Yeah,
following the
that's
runs?
it. That's
It's
that's my point that I was getting
not
to. If you have
Otamendi.
three at the back, yeah, like you're gonna have Romero defending
Yeah,
Mbappe, like
it's not good enough. It's you need you need a defender who is known to be quick. It's not good, and I mean that's how Mbappe is going to play in this game. He's going to be looking for runs. He's going to be testing the speed of that back line. None of them are convincing. It's I mean, even Kyle Walker, but even if Kyle Walker couldn't necessarily beat Mbappe, he was quick enough to put enough pressure on Mbappe to make it difficult. I don't think
exactly.
Otamendi, Romero, or either of those fullbacks are capable of doing that.
Exactly. And
Like,
then you obviously contrast it to the other side as well. Like you got Mbappe, you got his speed, he's got his talent, you got everything like that. You contrast that to the other wing as well. And you with Usman Dembele, you got a guy who can play with his left foot and his right foot as well. So he can get shots off with both feet. He can dribble with both feet. He can, cut back in if he has to, or he can shoot off his right foot, cut back in off his left foot and shoot. Like that that's a versatile player. And yeah, I just don't know how these four back players, if they play a back four, Argentina are going to be able to handle some of this France attack.
No, I don't. I don't know. It's very hard to see. On paper, it should be quite a one-sided affair,
Mm,
but I think if if there's anything we can note, it's that there's high chances this is going to be a high-scoring game. Right.
that's it.
I
And
think
there's
your
also
prediction is exactly that.
there's also another thing we have to take into consideration as well. And I've actually been talking to my mum about this as well. We both agreed this World Cup has not been like any other World Cup that we've seen. Not just all the stuff that's happened outside of the games and everything. We're not going to go into all that stuff with FIFA and Qatar and yada yada yada,
Mm.
but just some of the teams that you would think in previous World Cups that you would think they're going to lose by 4 goals, 3 goals, something like that. That actually in this World Cup, in my opinion, some of those teams are starting to close the gap, like the gap between the top teams and the other teams is starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, it was a freak win, but, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in their first
Mm.
game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
In a
there's an
billion
element
years,
of
would we
that.
think
Yeah,
that Saudi Arabia would beat Argentina? And then
yeah,
you've had other
yeah.
upsets as well, like Morocco making it all the way to the semi-final. You've got what? Help me out here, Jackson. What other ones do we have? We had the last group with Portugal, where you had, I think it was the last game, and it was South Korea was in for a bit to get in the second place. Then Ghana was in. Then Uruguay
Yeah.
was in, and it was jumping up and down like that. Like it's something we'd never seen before. Some big teams bowed out.
Australia
Germany,
beating Denmark,
that's it. Germany
Tunisia
bowing out of
beating
their World Cup.
France, Cameroon beating Brazil.
New draw between USA and England. Like
Mm-hmm.
this World Cup is nothing like what we've previously seen. So we
Mm-hmm.
can't count out what this game is going to look like. Like obviously said, it looks very one-sided on paper, but the spark of the game, the final, anything can happen. And I mean, I'm back to what you said before my prediction. For those who don't know, I said it'd be a 3-2 win for France, and France would win in extra time with a goal. So that was the prediction I gave Jackson about a day ago. So that's what I'm running with. I reckon, yeah, France are going to win 3-2 in extra time.
Well, I'm hoping for the sake of the Australians who are waking up at 2 a.m. to watch it that it doesn't go into extra time, but Matt's wishing that fate upon us. So, let's blame him if that happens. It's his fault at that point.
Well, if you really think about it, Australia lost to both these teams that are in the final. So does that put Australia like
Yeah, you know.
a higher ranking than what they are, Jackson?
Oh yeah. Oh
Is
yeah.
is
Oh
that
yeah.
how it works in the
When you
minds of
think about it,
Australians?
we came third place. When
Yeah,
you think
that's what
about it,
that's what I
yeah.
was getting at.
We
I was
beat
waiting for you to say
everyone except for those two teams. So,
that.
third best team in the in the competition. Maybe, maybe we are, or maybe we're not. These are questions that can't be answered by modern science. So,
Until the next episode.
until the next episode, when we will discuss Australia at greater length. I mean, yeah, you did mention that there have been a lot of surprises. I mean, the fact that Croatia it could have been a Croatia Morocco final just about says it all, doesn't it? And I mean,
Mm.
but even then, I think France was always thought to be a favorite. Argentina was always thought to be a favorite.
Brazil was up there as well.
Brazil was up there, but we saw what happened to Brazil.
We saw the master class by the Croatian goalkeeper. He definitely one of the best goalkeepers in the tournament.
They're not samba dancing now, are they? They've
They're not
stopped
samba dancing
dancing.
now. No, they're not. They're not.
I
They
mean,
def-
yeah. I mean, but even then, I think this a lot of people would have predicted this final, even with all the upsets this competition has had. People would have predicted a France versus Argentina final. It was probably up there as one of the most predicted finals we could have had, alongside maybe France versus Brazil, Argentina versus Brazil. Uh,
Argentina versus England or Brazil
yeah,
versus England. Like, yeah,
those four teams,
were in the
any
mix to
match of them.
beat
Yeah,
those five teams.
dark horse was Spain, and Spain got trumped by Morocco.
Mm,
So
mm.
that was my dark horse, but they didn't go anywhere. And actually, Luis Enrique quit the job immediately, joining the Brazilian manager. Who else quit? No, Southgate's staying. There's one other. I think maybe Louis van Gaal has left
Yeah,
the
that
Netherlands.
that's what was coming to mind. The Netherlands, but I didn't want to say because I wasn't too sure.
Yeah, I think he's the one who's left. There's been a couple managerial losses for this World Cup. As you said, I don't know if other teams are rising to close the gap. I think it's more there's a lot of teams that have run at the end of their cycles. Luis Enrique's Spain has come to an end. That cycle's over. I think Southgate's England cycle is over. I think he should have left.
Oh, Southgate should definitely be out of that coaching role after
Oh.
this. Definitely after this World Cup. Like he's had chances with this team and he hasn't produced what they thought he was going to do.
I don't know if I'd put it in those terms. I just think it's more that the team, he's done everything he can in that team and they just haven't been able to do it. Like the fact is they were probably going to always lose against France
Mm.
at this stage, and the fact that it was so competitive in the first place is pretty good from England. But at the end of the
The
day,
thing
even
that
if that's good, he has to leave because they need new ideas. It's not a
yeah,
dig
well,
against him, they just need new ideas.
one of the things that actually annoys me about Southgate is his
Oh,
choices of
yeah.
lineups. His choices of lineups, and that's something I think will be a refreshing look if England gets a new
Yeah,
coach.
I
Because
think, yeah.
I honestly can't stand to see Harry Maguire in the centre back position again. If Harry Maguire gets picked again over Tamori, I'm going to start a
I think a
riot.
lot of people like Maguire in the Three Lions shirt. You got to remember that. He does have his days, whereas he has none of them at Manchester United.
Yeah, yeah. In
Definitely
between
saving that.
the jail time at Mykonos, he's playing well for Three
Between, yeah,
Lions.
no, not a lot of time between. I mean, yeah, there are a couple other teams as well. I think Brazil's coach was sacked
Yep.
immediately, or he resigned immediately. And I think that's a reminder of that this Brazil team is a team of individuals. We talked about France as a team that's good as a team and as individuals. Brazil is a team of individuals. Great individuals from some fantastic clubs, Richarlison, Vinicius Jr. But
Neymar.
as a team, they don't really gel.
Yeah,
And I
definitely
think
not.
that when they come up against a team like Croatia, who are a unit, like an absolute unit of a
Mm.
team, and just it
They
doesn't work for them.
And the Croatian boys have been playing together for a decent amount of time
Yeah,
as
it's
well,
been a
which is
while.
not. It's not to take away. Some of these Brazilian guys have been playing together for a fair bit as well, but the I guess
Yeah, but their egos.
the humbleness and yeah, that's what I was into. The egos of the Croatian team is almost non-existent. Like you look at guys there,
Yeah.
especially like Luka Modric, and we all know his story. Coming from refugee camp and everything like that. So, like
Yeah.
you look at all those guys, and I guess how
Mm,
how down to earth or that absence of an ego compared
mm,
to you have Richarlison, you have Neymar, Vinicius Junior, you got Militao, you got
yeah.
Rafinha, like all those guys
Yeah.
just in the starting lineup as well.
Yeah. And you compare that to a team like Croatia, where their powerhouse midfield being Brozovic,
Kovacic
Kovacic,
and Modric.
Modric, they're all workhorses. They
Mm.
all just do the work in midfield. They don't have egos, they just get it done. And so as a unit, a team with that sort of core is just stronger.
Mm.
Uh so it's
I
no
mean,
surprise that Brazil lost. And I mean Belgium didn't even make the knockout rounds. So that's
well,
another
that look,
team as well.
Belgium, and I said this to Jackson yesterday as well. I said Belgium always tend to choke in major events when they get to around the quarterfinals.
They
They can
do.
never get past the quarterfinals, and they've had the team to be successful in recent years as well. And now
Mm.
that team is just it's withered away. The team is old now. That team that had a chance to win championships, win titles for them, not just like World Cups, Nations League, Euros, stuff like that. They're just gone now. They're starting to get old. You can't have an old, unfit Eden Hazard running, Kevin De Bruyne, all those guys, Romelu Lukaku. They're starting to get old,
I
and
can't believe
that big cause.
he's gone after Hazard like that. The old Chelsea legend. Can't
He is.
believe he's
Look,
just
he
gone for the
isn't
throat.
he isn't an old Chelsea legend. I don't have anything against him, but at the same time, you've seen his health over at Real Madrid. He's let himself go. He's definitely let himself go. You can't tell me he hasn't.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a rough one for him, and you know what? But those are the player Belgium rely on now. The fact is, Belgium is not a traditionally strong footballing nation. The reality is that they will slip back into a level that's below the big boys, having missed the chance to win a World Cup. Uh I don't think there's a new generation coming through that's going to replace those lads like Hazard, like Lukaku, like the old Tottenham defenders, Vertonghen,
Other
Alderweireld.
Byron, yeah.
But we'll see. Personally, we'll just have to wait and see what. But Belgium as well, another one who's at the end of the cycle. So considering how many teams at the top were coming to the end of a cycle, it makes sense that we saw more upsets in this competition. Really, Germany, another one. Germany, a team that have tried to reset since 2018 and it just hasn't worked. So what are you going to do in that case? Well then, I think I think what's left to do now, Matt, I think it is time. I mean, you've given your prediction 3-2, extra time. But what I'm going to ask from you is I'm going to ask you to name the goal scorers of
Oh,
those goals
you're not doing this to
in
me.
order.
In order,
In
nah,
order.
nah. Well, you're killing me, Jackson. All right.
It's
In
about what
order.
sort of a game that's going. Do you think that? I mean, because you think it's going to be 2-2 to full time
Yep.
with a goal in extra time,
Yep.
but the
Mm.
question is is this going to be a Messi dominated game for Argentina, for instance? Or as you said, Messi might actually draw players out of the back line and let someone like Alvarez do the heavy lifting and get the
Yeah,
goals.
that's
So
it.
how come on, Matt?
I
We
think,
want we want to hear it.
I think Olivier Giroud is going to score first. I think Alvarez will score next. Then I think Messi will score. And then Kylian Mbappe to be 2-2. And then in extra time,
Mm.
I'm going to get crucified for this. And I should say Olivier Giroud is who I think was going to do it, but I'm going to say Chouameni is going to hit a out of the box weldy in the
Mm.
top right corner. I
Well, it
reckon
was him who scored out from long against England. Is
it
that right?
was.
I think it
Yep,
was
it
him.
was.
Yeah,
Yep,
Rabiot's got a long shot on him as well.
Rabiot has
Previously,
as
it
well.
says, but yeah, no, not a bad one. This game is going to be a 1-0 victory by France. Yeah. I'm actually
Oh,
going against the conventional wisdom that this Argentina team is going to concede a whole ton of goals, as will France. What I'm going to say is that France locks up shop after Giroud. I think if it's a 1-0 game, I think Giroud is the one who scores that goal, and I think it's going to France close up shop like they tried to against England, and I think they lock up, and we're going to be watching a 1-0 game at
mm,
3 a.m. in the morning.
a
Uh,
riveting game.
it's going to be riveting, totally riveting. The one goal, yep, that's my prediction because I've been burnt by finals before. I watched the last Champions League final. It was dismal. I hated my day. My day was terrible from that.
Yeah,
But you know,
the best final for me was
mm,
the last Euro final that we watched. Jackson. We stayed up that whole time to watch England versus Italy go to penalties, and that was a good final to watch.
that
But yeah,
was that was a good final to watch. But you know, this is giving me the opposite kind of vibes. You know,
mm,
but I mean, France. I mean, to be fair, the 2018 World Cup final was a good game, 4-2
was
to France. It was
yeah.
a good game, but I don't know something about this. I mean, we'll see. I just think that I can see a scenario where Argentina it becomes a game about defenses
Mm,
more than attacks because both have really quality attacks. It's going to come
that's
down to
it.
the
Yeah,
defense, and I
it
think
is.
France can lock up a game where Argentina can't.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
think that wraps us up, guys. Well, we've only got, I think, based from right now, it's 3.5 hours
Yep.
till the game begins. So keep an eye on out for starting lineups, everybody. You know, let us know if we're right after the
Before
game.
before we go, Jackson,
Hmm.
if your prediction's wrong, what type of forfeit would you like to have,
I'm not.
Jackson?
I'm
If
not
your
committing to
prediction's
any
wrong,
forfeits tonight, Matt. There
okay,
is
good.
no way I'm committing to a forfeit. Hey, Matt, you
No, no,
committed
no,
to a
no, no,
forfeit.
no.
That was your.
That's in our
Woo!
group. That will
Let's see
not be
the
mentioned.
titty dance. Yeah.
Yes,
Woo.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
committed to do the Samuel and Titty
Matt,
dance if
I am under no
I
legal obligation under the Secure the Bag Charter to commit to a forfeit at this
well
time.
your contract's cancelled.
My contract's
Contract's
cancelled.
cancelled.
Oh, no,
Give
outrageous.
us give us back the podcast credit card, Jackson.
Joke's on you. I never signed a contract or got ourselves a credit card.
This is ridiculous. No, no, I remember that one time you used it for Coles. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. For
uh,
personal use. Yeah.
tax
Gosh.
deductible. What?
Yeah. No. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Enjoy the World Cup final and go Argentina personally, but you know, France will win it. All
Alain
right.
Blue Ale.
Yeah. All right,
Look,
guys.
honestly, before we sign off, guys,
Yeah.
I know we've been saying we've predicted France, but I'm just gonna slide this in here before we sign off. FIFA are going to pull some corrupt stuff, and Argentina is going to
All
win
right,
because
all right, all right, everybody. We'll see
that's
you.
it.
Goodbye.